A very good evening to everybody present here. Today we'll be speaking on the 3-month board plan exam for physics. So let's move on. Let me introduce myself. I'm Mariam, and the co-host Priyanshu is also going to be taking about the physics session. So something about ourselves. Priyanshu has scored 100 in physics, and I have scored 97. So I guess we are good enough to give you a few study tips and plans, and we'll be answering your FAQs. Physics is one of the logic and application based subjects which initially may seem tough to many students, but once your concepts are clear, physics becomes a cake walk for you. Now, why have we stressed on this point and placed it first? Is because we've been approached many times with questions like, I cannot understand physics, it is too tough for me to do. Now, the main thing in physics is not rote learning. It is all about understanding the concepts. Once you understand the concept, you can write it in your own words and score better marks. Because, frankly speaking, the examiner understands whether a student has understood what he's writing about. Okay, physics becomes a cakewalk for you. I know it is difficult for some of you to believe that physics is easy, and we have often been questioned about the fact that how can someone consider physics easy. As I mentioned, it is all about understanding the concepts and making sure you're extremely clear in them. If you have a doubt, approach someone, approach us, we are always open. And make sure that you clear your doubt completely at least 3 weeks before the exam. End moment doubt clearing doesn't help anyone. Now, I've already mentioned you can complete your entire physics syllabus within 5 to 6 weeks if you dedicate a minimum of 1 hour to physics daily. Everybody has a different learning speed. For me, I may take an hour to complete a chapter. For another person, he may take 2 hours, and for another one, that chapter can be done in 40 minutes. There's nothing wrong in having a different learning speed. Also, I would like to specify that do not just do the back questions or something like that, or just study from the notes. Make sure you go and pour over every single detail given in the book, which is included in the syllabus. Do not ignore any point. It's a sincere request. Now, 3 weeks can be spared for focusing on your weak points, clearing doubts, and solving the previous year papers. I've already mentioned, please try and clear your doubts a minimum of 3 weeks before your exams so that you all do not have any end moment hesitations. Now, in case you all have any doubt left, that's not an issue. Please clarify it. It is always better to clarify the doubts beforehand, but even an end moment clarification may sometimes help you in the examination. Now, moving on to the study tips. We'll be always stressing on the fact that you have to understand the concepts. And once you've understood the concepts, implement them. Try to think where you can apply physics in your daily life. Solve questions in accordance to what you have understood. My advice would be after reading through a chapter, before trying to learn it, try and assimilate what you have read. Read a portion and think about it. Think how you can apply it in your daily life. Where have you noticed such phenomena going on, and so on. Then go on and solve the questions. Once you have read the entire chapter, go on and look at the questions given in the back, mostly the ones based on logic and reasoning, and see whether you can answer it. You can refer to the book while answering, but make sure that you can understand the concept while answering. Do not just do something because it is written in the book. Now, make notes of what you read. Reconstruct and summarize it in a manner which helps you to recapture what you read. Now, this is one of the most fundamental facts while trying to understand any chapter or any question. If it's given in a particular way in the book which you find is not easy for you to learn or memorize, read it, understand what is written, and write it in a way which is easy for you to understand. Make notes of what you read because it is very important, because sometimes we feel that we have learned this chapter, we are done with it. But what happens is on the day of the examination, we feel that the chapter that we have neglected because we thought that we completely understood it is now the one which is giving us trouble. While making notes, it may help in a way that you do not need to go through the entire chapter before the exam. You just go through the notes a day before and you are completely prepared for your physics exam. Before the physics exams, you do not need to spend entire day and night to study the chapters. Now, moving on to the next slide, solve numericals. It helps you strengthen your concepts. I, for one, myself had always run away from numericals, and that was one of my weak points during class 9. It was only in class 10 that I realized that if I keep running away from numericals, my concepts cannot be cleared. The only way to realize whether your concepts in physics are clear is to solve numericals. And if you can solve it, if you can solve it very easily, it means that your concept is clear. Maybe you made a calculation error, that is fine. You can practice and maybe next time you won't make any error like that. But if you know the basic concept of how to solve a numerical, that is amazing. Now, while solving test papers, try to finish the test 15 minutes before time and revise the questions over, even if you think you will be mostly right. Now, why are we saying this? It is solely because most of us make a mistake while we are hurrying over the paper. We want to finish it beforehand, or maybe we're excited because we know everything in the question paper, or maybe we are tensed over a question which we do not know. So in any case, you should have your aim to finish the paper 15 minutes beforehand. Now let me tell you all, physics papers are often very short and to the point. If you're going to answer to the point and if you know how to answer it, it's very easy to finish the paper within 1 hour or 1.5 hours. You'll always have half an hour left in your hands. In case you're stuck over some difficult question, not more than 15 minutes should be given to that question. If not, move on. Move on to the next question. Do not waste your time on it. Now, we have been using Selena and together with for solving the questions. It is amazing and so is concise. First, for basic learning, I'm so sorry. So sorry. For learning concise, go through concise and read it very carefully. And together with is the ideal book for solving. It actually examines what you have understood and lets you get in depth to the concepts that there are, and it helps you enhance your logical reasoning, which is one of the most important aspects of doing physics. If you have physics, the most important asset you can have is having logical reasoning. Everything on physics is dependent on logic. You can question and define everything that there is. I'm speaking about our level. Now, moving on, we have to know our syllabus really well and we have to get comfortable with the question paper pattern. And now, why am I saying know your syllabus well? We all know that due to this COVID pandemic, many of us are completely left clueless about what is there and what isn't. It wouldn't do well to leave a topic and go and find it is there in the question paper. And it wouldn't do well to study extra. Now, what I mean by studying extra is trying to memorize the portions not in the syllabus. But from what I learned of physics, it is the fact that you have to read through the entire chapter, even if you're not planning on memorizing each word, because every single topic is linked to each other. And if you do not understand the basic concept and the spirit behind the chapter, there is no use of doing. Now, getting familiar with the question paper pattern is also very important because ultimately it is the board marks which is going to matter for all of you. You are going to go and give the board's paper, and to do that you have to be very very comfortable with answering your question given within the stipulated time period. I've always stressed on the fact that try and complete the entire paper while practicing, but on the day of the exam, do not attempt any extra question unless you're absolutely sure about the entire paper you have finished. It's always better to finish the paper, revise it, and then if you have extra time left, then go on and do any extra question. Now, I've already mentioned that if you don't get a question, do not panic. Skip it and try to solve it after you're done with the entire paper. Now, if it is the case with a subjective question and you are unable to solve it, go ahead and do another question. If you are doubtful about even one single mark that you lose in the subjective portion, go ahead, do another question. That is very important. But if you're extremely sure about all your answers, it will be better to revise it over again and again and add better points. Now, while attempting the answer, I've given you the tips to on how to write. But the most important part of paper is not while writing it. It's while reading and selecting the questions. Selection of questions is extremely important. If your selection is wrong, you are going to lose half of your marks out there only. Read through all the questions of optional section carefully and choose the ones that you're confident with. Do not attempt any question if you even feel you're not confident with a single answer, single mark, even half a mark. Because what usually happens is you think that it's only a mark, but what it ultimately leads up to is a series of losses of marks, which is not something we want. Now, don't leave topics you feel are unimportant. Any question can come from anywhere in the prescribed syllabus, which is very true. You can get a question which is very direct, and you can get a question which is logic based, and you can answer the logic based questions only if you have poured over the details of the chapter very thoroughly. Physics requires thorough reading of the chapter and understanding of the concepts. I've been repeating this point a lot of time, and I cannot stress enough on it. Now, try to solve as much as possible and tackle your weak points. If you feel a chapter is taking too long and if you cannot understand it, pour more attention over that chapter. That is the chapter that should no longer be your weak point by the time you go and give your exams. You may prefer a chapter over the other, which is very fine, but do not ever go into an examination hall feeling that you haven't done a chapter well. Read through the chapters, go through the points to remember, and make notes. Before a day before the exam, just pour over the notes and make sure that you're clear about each and every of your concepts. Now, moving on. I have been I'm so sorry. I've been asked a lot of questions regarding physics, and I would like to hand over the conduction of this meeting to my co-host Priyanshu. He's going to go over the FAQs and the strategy to perform the numericals. Also, the flow after the answering the FAQs given in the slide, we'll have an open session where you can address your questions either by raising your hands or writing it in the chat box so that it is visible to everyone. Thank you.
Yeah. So first question, which book shall I use for physics? So basically what I feel is that the school which your the book which your school prescribes is the best book, because a lot of times the school has had done research over a lot of years and they know from where do these questions appear. I use Selena Physics and Together With, because Selena was prescribed by my school and I felt that if I needed to get an edge over others, I had to solve Together With for numericals. How do we get through physics in general? Try to read through every line and do not miss any definition and important concepts, and always try to complete the exercise of the respective chapter. Yeah, this is a very, very important point, because a lot of people just leave a lot of numericals, a lot of reasoning questions just because they feel it is not important or it is too hard to come. But there have been instances where a very, very difficult question has appeared in the physics paper, and then those children have repented. Guys, I would also recommend you to read over the small theory parts such as specific resistance, units. Guys, don't, a very, very important tip, don't ever forget to write the units in which they are there. For example, the unit of specific resistance will be ohm meter, or a conductivity will be Simon per meter or something like that. Right? Don't forget to write. I remember I lost a lot of marks because I did not write the units. And you should learn, for example, you should learn some specific resistance of some compounds also. And a very important point, guys, don't forget diagrams. Diagrams are something which I regret leaving, but then I improved over them. And I would recommend you to just mug up the definitions of sort. If you can't mug up, it's fine. But a lot of times, like the Ohm's law definition is a very very specific definition. Uh, if you miss through one or two words, it can lead to a total failure.
Thank you so much, Priyanshu. Now, I don't think so there are any more questions out there. If there is, please approach us. Okay, so no more questions. I would like to end this meeting on a note by saying that while presenting your work, it's very important to make sure that it appears neat. Make sure you leave 2 lines after every answer. In fact, I would suggest leaving 3 lines, as when you recheck a paper, you may find that you missed a point. Instead of using asterisk mark or anything, you can write the point in the space you left, which will keep the teacher satisfied as the paper appears neat. Make sure that your paper is neat, because a neat paper plays a very important role in ICSE, as it leaves a good impression and the only impression on your examiner. Now, this is it, and thank you so much for attending the meeting. If you all have any doubt, please feel free to reach us and message us. Also, I would like to thank the co-host for giving such valuable insight into the numerical solving portions. If you have any doubt, I'm repeating, please feel free to approach us. We'll be getting back to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
That's it for today's session. So if you have any doubts, definitely you can reach us out anytime, comment down below, or these are our social media handles. You can message us anytime and the team will get back to you. So I hope this was helpful and see you again. Bye.